Hey guys, we've had a hell of a 2022, haven't we? We've seen some brilliant cars come along, and the good news is that that steady stream of quality motors ain't about to end. So with that in mind, I've decided to put together a list of my most hotly anticipated cars set to debut in 2023, most of which me and the team will definitely be filming on the channel. So do me a favor, if you're not a subscriber, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and the bell icon to make sure you don't miss a thing. Anyway, let's get started with the 11 cars that I'm most excited about for 2023. First up is the BMW XM. Hideous, awful. There are many words you could use to describe this car. I'm gonna go with brave though. This is BMW going out on a limb to create something that clearly won't appeal to everyone at first sight, but whatever you think of it, it ain't boring. It makes a big statement. This SUV is BMW M Division's first ever plug-in hybrid. It combines a twin power V8 and the company's 5th generation battery technology to produce over 650 horsepower and 800 Newton meters of torque for a 0 to 62 time of 4.3 seconds. And that's despite the fact that it weighs 2.7 tons. It's bigger and heavier than an X7 M60i, but still quicker. Prices start from 145 grand if you're interested, which I'm sure you are. I am. I quite like this thing, but then again, I do like my cars a bit mad. Okay, next up is the Lamborghini Huracan STERRATO. Many of us know that the Huracan is set to be discontinued, RIP, but nobody saw it going out like this, did they? Talk about growing old disgracefully. Love it. The STERRATO is a Huracan with a twist. This one is built for going off-road for some reason. Imagine a Urus, but without any of the practicality and with even more fun factor. It rides 44 millimeters higher than the standard Huracan Evo for even more off-road prowess, bigger suspension travel, and it can go pretty much anywhere. It's got a big old air intake on the back to cool that mid-mounted 5.2 litre V10. It's got underbody armor to protect it, chunky wheel arches. Expect 610 horsepower, 0 to 62 in 3.4 on gravel, and over 160 miles an hour flat out. This thing is gonna be nuts. Next up, the Porsche 911 DAKAR. Now Porsche were never gonna be outdone by Lambo, were they? Nah. And so we have the DAKAR. Sure, the 911 isn't being discontinued, fingers crossed. Chances are it never will be, but they're still doing an off-road special anyway, because why not? This thing has only 480 horsepower, quite a bit less than the STERRATO, but it still has the same 0 to 62 mile an hour time. I'm not sure it's as pretty as the STERRATO. I'm getting slight Beetle vibes here, but it's gonna be epic, isn't it? Let's face it. This thing takes inspiration from the 1984 Dakar-winning 911 Carrera 3.2 4x4 Paris-Dakar, which was a proper rally machine. So it has 50 millimeters more ground clearance than the ordinary 911, but if you get really stuck, then you can raise it by a further 30 millimeters even when driving at up to 93 miles an hour. And it's got a rally launch control system, which just sounds epic to me. According to Porsche, this is the only car you can drive from an African safari to Le Mans and then to the theater and the streets of New York without it batting an eyelid. Sounds like a hell of a trip, doesn't it? I'm looking forward to this. Next, it's the HYUNDAI IONIQ 7. We've had the IONIQ 5, the 6, and now we've got the 7 coming up very, very shortly. This thing is yet another SUV, but it has completely different styling to the other two, with a boxy design and a very distinctive bluff front end and a unique interior. In the concept version, Hyundai showed off a kind of lounge space where people can hang out and play the guitar or live stream their love of potted plants for some reason, with a big display in the ceiling instead of an actual sunroof. Not sure why, but cool. In reality, we're probably just gonna get to see a normal 7-seater interior, but here's hoping it comes with at least some quirky features to help keep things interesting. It's gonna be all electric, of course. We don't know how big the battery will be, but I'm expecting it probably is gonna have a 77 kilowatt hour pack you get in the IONIQ 5 and 6, and potentially even a 100 kilowatt hour pack to help maximize that range. Okay, next is the Ferrari PUROSANGUE. Remember when we thought that there was no chance Ferrari would make an SUV? Money talks though, doesn't it? They sat back and they watched Lamborghini virtually print money with the Urus, so it was inevitable we'd see something similar from the prancing horse. Now, PUROSANGUE means thoroughbred in Italian, which is a bit strange because a high-riding 4-door, 4-seater isn't the first thing that springs to mind when you think of a pure blood Ferrari, but Again, it does have a naturally aspirated 6.5 litre V12, unlike most Ferraris, and an 8-speed dual clutch transmission. So on paper, it's already sure to destroy pretty much all its competition in terms of performance. And it looks good too. Expect 0 to 62 in 3.3, 0 to 125 in 10.2, and not many miles per gallon. If you're thinking that this doesn't sound very eco-friendly, you're right. But the interior does have a roof lining made from recycled polyester, and the carpet is made from fishing nets salvaged from the oceans. Ferrari doing their bit there. Next on the list is the Polestar 6. We've given you a preview of this car already. Back in the day, it was called the O2 concept. Polestar said they weren't going to build it. We all begged them to, and they relented. They're bringing it to life. Thank you, Polestar. Now, the concept had some weird extras, like a drone you could send up to take videos and pictures of you as you drove. But the main reason we loved it was for the looks. It had a beautifully proportioned coupe convertible aesthetic that is unlike anything else on the market today. It's going to be all electric, as you'd expect from an EV brand, and it's going to have a dual motor drivetrain that will develop, get this, 833 horsepower. But realistically, if I'm driving this thing, I'm going to be going quite slow so everyone sees me, let's face it. Next up is another EV SUV, this time from a brand you wouldn't associate with SUVs, or EVs for that matter. It's the Lotus ELETRE. Again, we brought you a preview earlier in the year, in 2022 that is, and we were quite impressed with the styling, even if it's nothing like any Lotus I've ever seen in the world before. But the good news is that you can chuck all your family in to go along with you, and the interior is stunning. It's got plenty of rear seat entertainment and other nice gadgets, including a tablet screen that folds up and down. Why? Because they can. In terms of performance, it's going to have 2 motors, up to 905 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.95. So even if it doesn't handle like a true Lotus, it should at least be, well, at least as quick as any true Lotus. Something a bit more down to earth now, perhaps, in the form of the BMW M3 Touring. This one's based on the M3 Saloon, so you get 510 horsepower, good performance as well, 0 to 62 in 3.6 seconds, but obviously, the big news here is that it's an estate or touring, which means not only do you have the speed and handling of an M3, you also have a bit more space and practicality in the back. Definitely one to look forward to, especially if you hate SUVs. Next up is the Rolls-Royce SPECTRE. From a distance, this looks almost like any other roller, especially from the front. But if you look closely, it's a 2-door coupe, a bit like the Wraith, and it has suicide doors. And the one we got our hands on had this very distinctive 2-tone paintwork, black and chartreuse, they call it. Looks a bit like baby sick in the flesh, to be honest with you, but they do other colors. It's also got an illuminated grille, super thin DRLs, and a reprofiled Spirit of Ecstasy mascot that took the company apparently 830 hours of wind tunnel testing and modeling to perfect. Although to my eyes, it's the same one, it just leans forward a bit more than before. I could have redesigned that in about 20 minutes and charged a bit less, I think. Rolls-Royce, holla at me. Anyway, inside it's got the Starlight headliner as before, but also comes with Starlight doors. Nice upgrade, and an updated infotainment system. Now, the big news here, of course, is that it runs on batteries, which are big enough to allow over 300 miles of range and motors that deliver 577 horsepower. Price? Yeah. 300 grand. It's going to be pricey, but let's face it, this might just be the best Rolls-Royce ever. Okay, next one on my list is the Audi A6 e-tron. I previewed this car in concept form not long ago, and I've got to say it was one of the nicest looking designs I've seen. Audi are stepping their design game up. The big takeaway here is the redesigned single frame grille, which isn't a grille anymore, it's just a panel on top of which you'll find illuminated Audi rings and some seriously menacing looking headlights with DRL patterns that you can customize to your own taste. They also work as projectors that let you beam images onto a surface in front of the car, so you could watch movies or play games in theory, although only in black and white. The concept also had other high resolution projectors scattered all around the car that could beam images onto the floor to warn other road users or cyclists that the doors might be about to open or that the car might be turning left or right. Very cool. The A6 is going to be available in hatchback and estate form, which to me, the estate looks even more stunning. Keep an eye out for these two. Gorgeous cars. Okay, finally, it's the Aston Martin Valhalla. Think of this as a rival to the Ferrari SF90. It's a plug-in hybrid hypercar that looks mad and has the performance to match. Apparently the car takes significant learnings from the Aston Martin F1 team. I'll take that with a pinch of salt, but it does have AMG's twin-turbo 4-litre V8 hooked up to 2 electric motors, one on each axle, which altogether give the car over 1,000 horsepower. Wow. 0 to 62 is done in 2.5, top speed 217, and they reckon it's going to smash the Nürburgring in 6 minutes and 30 seconds. The Valhalla is going to have a carbon tub, it's going to weigh 1,500 kilograms, it's going to have active aero that can generate 600 kilos of downforce at 150 miles an hour. Very fast, very cool, very, very exclusive. 700 units, each costing £700,000. Okay. That's my top 11 cars for 2023. Obviously, there's way more I could have talked about. The new Ford Mustang, the Maserati Folgore, the new Fiat Panda. That looks cool. The list of amazing cars is massive and it seems like it's growing all the time. It's hard to keep up with. So do me a favor, let me know which of these cars you most want me to test in 2023. Leave a comment down below and I promise you I'll do my best to get it on the channel. Right. I hope you guys had an excellent 2022, and if not, have a mega 2023. I'll see you on the channel very soon. Peace.